Will pass the Save America Act to defend American elections. Thank you. Thank you. Remember, we didn't have one Democrat vote, not one for that, not one. All voters must show photo ID. All voters must provide proof of citizenship. And hopefully at a later date, there'll be no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel.
Hello there, friends. Welcome to the channel. Pull up a cozy chair and make yourself comfortable. If you love uplifting stories about the heart and soul of our great country, please hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like and share it with your family and friends. It sure helps this old man keep telling these patriotic tales. Now, let's get right into today's story.
Imagine you go in for routine surgery. Maybe you're having your appendix or your gallbladder removed. The team of surgeons working on you discovers what appears to be a cancerous, malignant growth. And they take a vote and they decide that they all want to go on vacation. So they decide to go on vacation. Bad news for you is that malignant growth stays inside of you for weeks or months into the future. And by then, that growth may have done enormous damage. Those surgeons should not prioritize their vacation over your health and your safety. America is that patient. We're the surgeons. We have no business leaving town until we pass the Save America Act.
Fair and strong elections, they would lose 25% of their base. They would never be elected again. And I'm trying to explain that to Republicans, but some of them don't quite understand it. They don't understand it because they're good people. They're good people. They don't know how crooked these people are. I've dealt with a lot of crooked people in my life. They don't know how bad these people are. We got to get the Republicans to be tougher, especially in the Senate, especially in our Senate. Got to get the senators in there. They got to be tough. But they voted in favor of the transgender mutilization
parameters of the Budget Control Act. But we can't do it unless we can vote. And it would be nice if we could all agree. It would be nice if we can all have meetings and talk about it and give and take. I'm all for that. But right now it's not realistic, because people have differences of opinion. You know what you do when you have a difference of opinion? You vote. That's why God made votes. That's why God made the United States Senate. We can continue to sit around. It's also true on the Russian sanctions bill, but especially is true with respect to election integrity. And I'm not criticizing anybody. I know the way the Senate works, and you do too, Madam Chair. You know, senators will stall and restall and cuss and spit, and we need one more meeting. I can't tell you how many meetings I've been in the last 6 months that should have been an email, that could have been an email, to talk about the Russian sanctions bill and to talk about election integrity and to try to get a consensus. It's not going to happen. Not in my natural lifetime, not in yours, Madam Chair, though you'll live longer than me, and not in yours, our friends in the gallery. We gotta vote. And we need to vote right now. And the American people expect it. And if there is a motion made on this floor to have us remain here until we get our work done, I'm going to vote yes. I'm going to vote yes. I can tell you right now. And what is the work we need to get done? In no particular order, we need to pass the Russian sanctions bill. We need to pass the budget resolution, which will include election integrity. We need to confirm Todd Blanche. We need to pass the continuing resolution to keep government open until December the 11th. We need to vote on the cryptocurrency bill, which we've spent years on.
Thune has multiple choice here as to which one he can get through the Senate. And so he makes this excuse of, well, he's protecting a few of his members. You know what? They signed up for that job, put the dadgum bill on the floor and make them vote on it. And then they can go back home to their constituents and answer those questions. Look, a CNN poll, 83% of Americans, that's Republican, Democrat, Independent, black, white, brown, yellow. Everybody supports this. Even Democrats can go back to their district and say, we got it done. So there are no excuses. There's no reason or excuse for him to be a coward. And if he's not willing to do it, he needs to step out of the way and let Mike Lee or someone like Mike Lee take over as leader and get it done.
I wasn't planning on, I have a couple of questions for the congressman, but I love this inside outside. I mean, I got to take advantage of the inside baseball with the congressman here, but then the outside pressure that Scott has so masterfully run.
Absolutely.
You're calling right there, Congressman, for John Thune to step aside.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
100%. Look, he has a mandate from the American people. Set aside what the president has asked for. Set aside the fact that the House has passed it 3 times. The American people have said, again, a CNN poll, not the bastion of conservatism, right? A CNN poll, 83% of Americans want the Save America Act. There are no excuses. There are no places to hide. Do your dadgum job or get out of the way. Mike Lee would put it on the floor. Marsha Blackburn would put it on the floor. There are others that would put it on the floor, like Senator Scott.
Folks, gather around here for a little bit and let this old American tell you what is unfolding right now. Up on Capitol Hill, my heart is just so full of pride today. It is the kind of warm, deep pride that comes from watching true patriots stand tall when our country needs them the most. You see, the pressure inside that big, beautiful marble building in Washington has been building up. It is feeling hotter than a sunny summer afternoon in the middle of the heartland. At the center of it all is President Donald Trump, our 45th and 47th president. He is a bold leader who truly loves this country, and he is right there fighting for the very soul of our elections and the future of our great nation. It all started to get very serious just a short time ago. President Trump looked at the calendar and saw that a long August vacation was coming up for the Senate. He looked at that schedule and said, no way, not while our elections need protecting. He went right to Truth Social and spoke directly to the people and to Majority Leader John Thune. President Trump made it as clear as a cloudless sky. The Senate should not pack their bags and leave town until they pass. The Save America Act. This is a very good, simple plan. It puts common sense rules in place, like showing proof of citizenship to register to vote, and showing a photo ID at the voting booth. These are simple things that everyday Americans have been asking for. They're the kind of careful steps that keep our votes honest, fair, and strong. When I see this happen, it reminds me of the good old days, when leaders put the country before their own comfort. It brings a tear of joy to my eye to see that strong spirit alive today. Every family deserves to know their voice truly matters. President Trump did not stop there. He gently reminded everyone that keeping the 2026 midterms safe is not just a small side issue. It is about keeping our republic safe and well without clean and fair elections. The beautiful America First dreams we have worked so hard for could just slip away. And the most heartwarming part, he was not alone in this fight. Right beside him stood a wonderful, brave group of 29 conservative Republican senators. These are good, honest folks who really understand what is at stake. Leaders like Mike Lee from Utah, Rick Scott from Florida, Bill Hagerty from Tennessee, Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, and many more. They did not just talk about it. They made a firm, solemn promise to the American people. They pledged to stay in Washington, to work right through the summer heat, and to hold the floor to keep the election security work moving forward. Some might just call it a regular political debate, but for these leaders, it is a deep patriotic duty to safeguard our future. They promised to skip the easy vacation and keep pushing until the job is done, right? President Trump backed them every single step of the way, showing that same bright fire and love that won him the White House and turned this nation around.
The entire Trump administration's priority is to actually get the Save America Act passed. We have the proudest and in some ways the oldest democracy anywhere in the world. 250 years we just celebrated, and yet if you vote in California, you're lucky if a month after the election day, your vote has actually been counted. We know that we have in certain jurisdictions illegal aliens who are casting ballots. We know that 80+% of the American people want you to show a voter ID in order to vote, and yet there are a lot of big blue states that make that impossible, will in fact criminalize the act of asking for an ID in order to vote. Why would you criminalize asking for an ID in order to vote unless you wanted to encourage and promote cheating? So this is an important priority for the administration, but more importantly, it's an important priority for the American people to save our elections. The way you save America is by bringing election integrity. It's something that matters. It's a shame that the Democrats aren't going to help us get this done, given that a majority of Democrat voters actually want us to have election integrity in this country. But we've got a good piece of legislation to support the troops, support the farmers, and get Save America Act passed. This, of course, is the first step, but it's an important step. We're going to take it together. We're going to be successful, and we're going to keep on working at it from there. Thank you.
Want Thune to serve another term as leader? Do you think, would you support him?
Well, I don't want to get into that as early, but
Why?
I'll tell
A
you,
lot of people are thinking about it. This is a big issue.
I get along with him. It's unfortunate that he doesn't have the vote.
But do you actually get along with him?
I do.
But you clearly disagree. I mean, you have big disagreements.
I do have disagreements. I believe strongly in terminating the filibuster. And by the way, getting Save America Act approved immediately, and about 400 other things in every hour of every day. Boom, boom, boom. You get whatever you want. You get.
Democrats would do it too, though, right? They'd get.
Well, they're going to do that. They're going to do that. If they get in, they're going to do it very quickly. I mean, you're wrong on that one.
We'll see.
They're going to do that so fast. And I say, as long as we all know that they're going to do it, I'm so shocked to hear you. But as long as I know that they're going to do that, you do it. I would do it whether they did it or not. We would get in the next 2.5 years, we would get things that nobody ever dreamt of. We would be in office for the next 100 years. And I'll tell you what, if they get in, I may be the last.
This bill does one thing. It ensures that only American citizens cast ballots in American elections. And it does so through a number of measures. First, it requires documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote. It requires standardizing the list of acceptable documents that prove such citizenship. It creates an alternative process for applicants who lack such documentation. It requires photo ID when casting a ballot, and it mandates ongoing roll maintenance to remove non-citizens, allowing states to use federal databases for verification, and it strengthens enforcement and penalties against officials who knowingly register non-citizens. These are common sense measures, so basic, so reasonable, and most important, the American people support them. Voter ID is an 80-20 issue. Not that many 80-20 issues. This is an 80-20 issue. The Pew Research Center found that 95% of Republicans and 71% of Democrats support it. Meanwhile, only 22% of Americans oppose requiring proof of citizenship to register for federal elections. And that conclusion was from a recent Washington Post ABC News Ipsos poll just last month. The American people have spoken. Bottom line, the American people understand the problem, and they support the solution of the Save America Act.
Republicans, Democrats, Independents all want it, all across the country. The only people that don't want it are elected Democrats. So we have a couple
Republicans too.
We have 50 votes. Yeah, we can win this. But what we have to do is we have to vote. And by the way, if we can't get everything, let's just do voter ID. Let's just do, you have to be an American citizen to register to vote. So we have got to get election security done. So my goal is we're going to stay here until we get something done to make sure our elections in November are secure. Whether it's through reconciliation, which only takes Republican votes, or do a talking filibuster, we've got to get election security done.
Yeah. Your take,
Department of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review of state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls, and yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail. As one example of the insanity, California's recent election for mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, a long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that, much more than 1 month. Took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC fake news.
Now, as this beautiful stand takes shape today, Majority Leader John Thune is really feeling the weight of this noble effort. He has a lot of important tasks on his desk. Things like keeping the government running smoothly and handling bills that help our families. But with President Trump shining a bright light on this issue and those brave conservative senators standing like a solid rock, the usual quick trip home for an August vacation just could not happen. They could not simply turn off the lights and leave. Instead, the Senate is staying open. They are working extra hard right now, staying late and keeping the focus exactly where it belongs, on making sure every legal vote is protected. The push to go home has been paused because these leaders are choosing to answer to the American people first. Let me tell you why this touches this old heart so deeply. Back when I was a young man, working out in the open fields under the bright blue sky, voting felt so simple and secure. You walked into your local voting place, you showed who you were, you proudly cast your ballot, and you went home knowing your voice counted. But over the years, folks started to worry. They worried about mistakes, and they worried if things were truly fair. President Trump saw this worry clearer than anyone. In this, his second time serving as our great president, he has made protecting our elections his absolute biggest goal. He believes with all his heart that only American citizens should decide America's path. The Save America Act is the bright, shining star of this effort. It just asks for simple fairness, showing your ID and proving you are a citizen. It is pure America first. It is about protecting our home and our voices, just like we protect our front doors. Think about the everyday, hardworking people this lifts up today. I heard about a sweet mom out in Ohio. She raises 2 wonderful kids, all on her own, working long double shifts at the local plant just to put warm food on the table. She shared that she happily waits in line to vote and always shows her ID with a smile. All she wants is a fair system so her children can grow up knowing their choices truly matter. When President Trump speaks up for the SAVE Act, she finally feels like someone is listening to her. And think of the brave veteran down in Texas. He traveled far across the world, putting his life on the line to protect our freedoms. Now he worries that weak rules at home might undo all his hard work and sacrifice. Seeing these 29 senators make their serious pledge and seeing President Trump demand fairness gives this hero real hope again. Families all across our beautiful heartland are watching this unfold right now. This very minute, they are looking at the Capitol and saying with a smile, finally, someone is fighting for us. This is not just about a single rule. It is about President Trump's whole beautiful vision for our country. He is the leader who brought our factories back to life, who made sure we have our own energy, and who always puts working families first. But he knows, deep in his bones, that none of those wonderful victories can last if our elections are not safe. Protecting the upcoming midterms means protecting our future so we can keep delivering good things for the American worker, the quiet farmer, and the small-town shop owner. Knowing that those devoted senators are refusing to leave their posts shows us that true patriotism is alive and well right this very second.
Is the president's number one priority, which is the SAFE Act. We believe that is a piece of legislation that is going to disenfranchise so many people from their ability to vote. And we do have, fortunately, partners in the Senate that are bipartisan, that are advocating for the bill not being passed.
I view that as a very important thing. It's voter ID. If you just even take the ballots out of it, the ballots are very important, but we do that another time. Voter ID, and it's proof of citizenship. And I figure you can't get any more basic than that. In other words, we want to see your citizenship. We want to make sure that you're a citizen to vote. We like photo ID just to make sure, because the elections are rigged in this country. The elections are a mess in this country. And that was proven in 2020, and it's been proven elsewhere. Look at the recent election that took place with the Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles. All of a sudden, they came from nowhere. It looked like he was in the runoff, or easily in the runoff. The other one was, the third place was a woman nobody ever heard of. She's crying, oh, I didn't make it. She didn't make it by a lot. All of a sudden, she surged. Unknown people don't surge. And she surged after the election was over. And she ended up getting in the runoff. He didn't. Look, we're like a third world country in many cases, in many states, third world country. So I think it's very important. Save America Act is a very important thing. John's trying. He's trying hard. I really believe that. But if he doesn't get there, it would be unfortunate.
He says, why don't you get the votes for it?
Well, I can probably do that, but I have a couple of people that
shifted all that much, and you can just see it right here. Okay, so we're talking about voters favoring photo ID to vote. Among all voters, we're talking 77%. And this is uniform, basically, or universal, I should say. Universal. Democrats, 62%. Independents, 77%. Republicans, 95%. This is something that is popular across the political spectrum. It is a rare thing that is popular across the political spectrum. When it comes to voter ID, the voters are with President Trump on this, whether they're Democrats, independents, or Republicans. Overall, very clear. We're talking about 3 and 4 overall who support the idea of photo ID in order to vote.
Even 62% of Democrats show an ID when you show up to vote. Now, showing a very specific ID when you register to vote, proof of citizenship like a passport, birth certificate, or real ID, which not every state has. How do voters feel about that?
Yeah, okay, so I think this might be a little bit more in the eye of the beholder. Johnny and I were talking about this. So document proving citizenship to vote. What you can see here is, again, it's clear the majority are for it. The majority are with President Trump here. We're talking about 54% of Americans. We've seen this in poll after poll after poll. It is lower than the voter ID, but it is clear. You get that 54% who support it. You get 37% opposed, which is a sizable minority, but definitely lower than the majority. And then among independents, which is a group that President Trump has really struggled with, you still see it here, right? You see the majority of it, or the plurality of independents, 49% supporting the idea of needing document proving citizenship to vote, 49% versus 38% who are opposed. So whether it's overall or independents, yes, the support is lower than it is for voter ID, but it is very clear that the majority of people are in fact for it.
It's definitely a majority. It's still not the 80% for voter ID when you show up to vote with the photo there. This is showing proof of citizenship to register there. There are voting, public interest groups who say not everyone has
security. Here in Nevada, the DOJ came out and said there's 16,000 non-citizens on the voter rolls. The state disputes that, but it looks like they might be willing to work with the DOJ.
Well, I think they should, and you have a governor who's doing a very good job, but there are many, many fake voters. They have people from all over. I mean, they have people from other states. Nevada's a problem, but I would say more than half of your states have serious election problems. That's why we want to have voter ID. That's why we want to have, let's say, I think citizenship is very important. You have to prove your citizenship. In order to vote, you have to you have to show citizenship. I also think mail-in ballots, the concept of mail-in ballots, it's immediately corrupt. Jimmy Carter, the best thing he ever did, I didn't think he was a very good president, but he had a commission, and his commission came out to the conclusion you cannot have mail-in ballots. People will cheat, and we have to get rid of mail-in ballots.
I just came from a very productive meeting with Senate Republicans, and the conversation has shifted in a very favorable direction. We're talking now much more about how best to do this, not whether to stay and work on the Save America Act, but what procedural vehicle to use in order to get this thing done. So, look, I always, this is a step-by-step process. I don't want to proclaim victory, but the conversation has moved in a favorable direction. I want to thank Senate Majority Leader John Thune and our whip, John Barrasso, for leading a very productive discussion today.
So those two realities are there. Now, is there somewhere in here with budget reconciliation that we can do pieces of the Save America Act, or at least in a fiscal way deal with funding for some of those things? Maybe, and we'll see what the traffic will bear on that. We're having conversations, as you know, right now about that proposition, so we'll keep you posted.
Leader Thune, one of the members of your isolated by the president when he says he wants you to stay in session, wants you to pass the Save America Act?
Well, I think the president, I've heard from him a couple times this morning on issues that he cares about. I wouldn't say I'm isolated, no. I mean, I've been very clear about the prospects for the Save America Act, and the only thing I've said all along is we have voted on the Save America Act 5 times. It was the pending business on the floor of the Senate for over 2 weeks, and I am willing to, in any way possible, get that across the finish line if there is a path to do it. But there are 2 realities and 2 facts you have to deal with. And the first is there are no Democrats who are going to vote for this. All 47 voted against the SAVE Act 5 times. So let's make this an issue in the campaign. How about we go out and turn our fire on Democrats and make it about them?
And now, me as a Democrat, I do not believe that it's unreasonable or to show ID just to vote. And I remind everybody that less than a year ago in Wisconsin, they added that to the Constitution by a 63%. Passing to put that in the Constitution that you have to show ID to vote. And they also elected a very, very liberal justice into their Supreme Court. So it's not a radical idea for regular Americans to show your ID to vote. And it's absolutely, those things are not Jim Crow or anything. Of course, that's part of an awful, awful legacy of our nation for so long ago. But where we are now, trying to find a way forward, just trying to call balls and strikes, seeing what's unreasonable, hopefully we don't have to do, and pay the TSA people and everyone, secure our border, and focus on deporting all of those kinds of criminals, wherever they are. That's the guy that votes for that and supports that as a Democrat, and I don't ever want to vote to shut our government down again.
Right. And you are very much where the people are. Look, that's what most people would like to see. Prioritize the criminals. Take the criminals out of the country who are here illegally but are also committing crime. But, I mean, is there any other way to view the fact that Democrat leadership refused to have ID to vote? Is there any other way to read it other than they want illegals to vote? I mean, can you read it any other way?
Well, I mean, for me, the Save Act is not going to pass because of the filibuster, because they would need at least 7 or 8 Democratic votes to pass that. And now remember also, all the Democrats, all we wanted to eliminate the filibuster, except for it was Manchin and Sinema. They wanted to eliminate the filibuster, and now our party loves the filibuster. And then I do think think the filibuster is a good thing, and it does force us to work together overall.
Right. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I will say this as a Democrat: I do not believe it's radical or extreme to just produce ID to vote.
When I look out at what is happening right now, at this very moment, I see a beautiful picture of Americans coming together. I hear stories from all over that just fill my spirit with so much joy. Just the other day, a sweet story was shared about an older couple down in Arizona. They have voted in every election their whole lives. Sadly, they lost their brave son while he was serving in the military. They sat down and wrote a heartfelt letter to their senator to support this pledge. They said that President Trump's vision means their little grandson will inherit a country where every single vote is honest. And true, they had tears in their eyes at a local meeting, but they also had big, bright smiles of hope. Then there is a young factory worker up in Michigan. He saw good jobs come back to his town because of President Trump, and now he is volunteering his own free time to help keep our elections secure. He knows that the Save America Act will protect those wonderful gains for his family. And you hear from folks like a retired steel worker in Pennsylvania who put it perfectly. He sent a message that said, "President Trump never takes a vacation from fighting for us. Why should the Senate?" That is exactly right. This whole moment reminds me of the brave men who founded our country long ago. They stayed in a very hot room in Philadelphia all summer long, refusing to go home until they got our Constitution. Perfectly right. No quitting early. Today, President Trump is bringing that same urgent, loving spirit to protect our elections. He does not flinch. He stays strong. He keeps sharing messages of hope on Truth Social, and he asks for the best from everyone because he's standing so firm, and because those 29 conservative senators are showing such amazing courage. Majority Leader John Thune has adjusted the schedule. The Senate is staying open longer. Listening to the united voices of the people, this is a massive, beautiful win for our country. It keeps our America First values shining bright. Folks, this is the kind of special moment that defines who we are. An elderly man like me has seen a lot of leaders come and go, but President Trump is different. He fights like everyday people matter more than politicians. With him leading the way and those brave senators locked in, we are stepping closer to the safe, fair elections every American deserves. God bless this noble fight. God bless President Trump. And God bless the United States of America. Still the greatest, most wonderful nation on earth, because true patriots simply refuse to quit. Stay strong, friends. The best is truly yet to come. Well, my friends, I hope the story warmed your heart as much as it warmed mine to share it with you today. If you believe in these beautiful American values and want to hear more stories just like this, please make sure to subscribe to us right here at Truth Horizon. Give this video a big thumbs up and share it with your family and neighbors so we can keep spreading the good news. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you and your family.